So does this DJI Action 4 overheat? Let's discover. Hello everyone and welcome back to another video on my channel. I'm Photorabs. I do videos about photography, filmmaking, camera tech related reviews, unboxings, action cams, vlogging kits and so on. If you're interested in these topics, I highly appreciate if you go subscribe to my channel. That's a massive help. And now let's talk about this DJI Action 4, especially the overheating issues on this new camera from DJI. So a few days ago when I posted my video comparing the DJI Action 3 to the DJI Action 4, I compared the overheating between these two cameras, and I noticed that when I have these two cameras on a fixed mount next to each other outside at around 23 or 24 degrees Celsius without much air flowing around, the DJI Action 3 overheated at around 22 minutes, while this DJI Action 4 stayed for more than 1 hour of recording. Both cameras were set to 4K 25 frames per second with Rocksteady on. But then I received many messages from you guys telling me that these are not the good conditions to test the overheating of the action cameras. Well, of course, these are action cameras and we will use them as action cameras, of course, not as still cameras. But if the camera performs well in such conditions, that means in action shots, in moving shots, it's gonna perform even better. That's my opinion about these cameras. And then I received lots of messages asking me if I can try it in 4K 16, 4K 120 frames per second, because some people are having some overheating issues in these rates, in these resolutions. So I did that, and here are the results. This camera, the DJI Action 4 in 4K 25 frames per second with Rocksteady on, stayed recording for more than 1 hour, and then my Sony ZV-10 that I'm using now to record this video stopped recording because it runs out of battery. So today I tried to put this camera into this test again, but in 4K 60 frames per second, and I noticed that it lasted for around 20 minutes or a little bit more than 20 minutes in 25 degrees outside on a mount. It was not moving. We did not have any airflow coming around this camera. And I did the same test at 100 frames per second, 120 frames per second and 4K, and it lasted around 11 minutes. Well, these numbers are not so high, and I think that you are expecting to have a much better heating management in this DJI Action 4, but I think that these numbers are not so bad, and let me explain. By the way, I just noticed that when I put the camera in 4K 120 frames per second, it shows me that I can record up to 9 minutes if the outside temperature is 25 degrees. So DJI are not hiding anything from us. We can see it clearly on the back screen of the camera when we put it in 4K 120 frames per second. So basically these cameras performs really well if you want to record in 4K 25 frames per second to do vlogs or to do some daily life rushes, some vacation rushes with this camera. That's really nice in 4K 25 frames per second. The resolution is amazing. But when we go to 4K 60 frames per second or 4K 120 frames per second, that means that we are seeking some slow motion shots. 4K 60 frames per second, we can slow down our footages twice, so we can go very slow on the footages. And if we'll go to 4K 120 frames per second, we can slow it 4 times if our main rushes are 30 frames per second, or even a bit more than 5 times if our rushes are 25 frames per second. But when we want to slow our footages, do we need to record for an unlimited time? That's the question. Of course, the camera will overheat because we have a small body. We do not have lots of electronic components inside to help to dissipate the energy, the thermal energy that goes out from this camera because it has a bigger sensor comparing to the previous generation. It has lots of cool features, lots of smart features inside, so lots of things to process, lots of things to calculate, lots of things to manage electronically, but the overheating issue will remain a big subject in 2023, and it will remain a very huge subject for the upcoming years. If we continue to have small cameras and small bodies, we cannot do more than that, I believe. It's not the problem of DJI. So I do not believe that this is a major issue at DJI having some overheating with this DJI Action 4, because we cannot expect to have an unlimited record time with this small camera in 4K 120 frames per second, because as I said before, we have lots of things to process in this small camera in order to give us the quality, the image quality that we are seeking for. So do we need the 4K 60 for 4K 120 frames per second all the time? Personally, I think that it's not very useful to have it all the time. Of course, we would like to have it run 4K 120 frames per second all the time until the battery runs out or until the memory card will be full, but that's not logical in this case, because once again, it's a very small and lightweight camera. And here's why we have this quick switch button on the side of the camera that we can use to customize the menus, to customize some fast shortcuts for some menus that we need, such as 4K 25 frames per second, 4K 60 or 4K 120 frames per second. We can customize them easily, and we can use this quick switch button to jump between these modes in order to achieve the look that we need for our footages, because once again, we cannot expect to have 4K 120 frames per second all the time. Add to that 4K 120 frames per second, that means we have lots of data, and the storage will be quickly full and easily full on this camera, on the memory cards, and we need a bigger computer to process the files and to edit the footages, while 4K 25 frames per second is much less than the 4K 120 frames per second in terms of storage, in terms of management on the computer as well. And by the way, I'm preparing another video about this DJI Action 4, about the menus, how I customize this camera, how I use this camera. Make sure to ring the bell so you can receive all the notifications about my future posts, and you will not miss this upcoming video on my channel. And that was it for today's video. I hope you enjoyed it. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel if you haven't already done it. Don't forget to check my affiliate links. I have lots of great deals, lots of good discounts on photography and videography products that I've talked about previously on my channel. That's a massive help to my channel, to help me create more content and more useful content for you guys. And once again, if you're interested in more videos about this DJI Action 4, ring the bell so you can receive all the notifications about my future posts. And thank you for watching. Ciao for now.